Hey, I just wanted to do a video to remind everybody, the human race, that the way that the world is right now, the way that you see the world, you don't have to settle for it. The way that the world is right now doesn't have to be the way that it is in the future. What I specifically mean about this is, for example, I live in Western society. I live in the southeastern United States in a metropolitan area that is full of all kinds of strip malls, commercial areas, and much of it is paved over with asphalt. These commercial centers with huge parking lots and these buildings and these corporate signs and advertisements everywhere, and this structure that's in place, commercialism, capitalism. And I think of this in the area that I live. It's the area I grew up in, and I've watched the development kind of completely change the face of the landscape, and areas which were once forest are now Walmarts. And I like to imagine something like, sometimes I get really depressed when I look around and I see all these power lines and telephone poles and all this, the structure of modern society, and these buildings which are like boxes, these corporate boxes, and with their slogans and their signs, and affecting the landscape, both the physical landscape of the earth and the landscape of society and culture. It gets really depressing. You know, I start to ask, what is real? It's are we just relegated to this culture where it's all superficial and everyone's trying to fake each other out with their advertising and marketing to get these fake green rectangles, and with nothing actual real happening, some stuff of true value, culture. And I get really depressed. I walk into this Walmart and I feel the pressure of all these material items, and it's kind of hard to explain, but it's kind of this ominous, oppressive feeling that this is the way society is, this is the way culture is. You just have to live in it. You just have to accept that the 20th century has pushed us to this place where we're covering everything with asphalt, and we're building all these kind of semi-permanent structures without really thinking about, really having an eye for design. Or this is really what I want to get into, with designing to be symbiotic with nature. So let me continue my point. I walk into this Walmart and I feel this oppressive feeling of just these structures have popped up, and you just kind of have to accept it, that this is the way the world is right now, and go in and buy your stuff and be exposed to the onslaught of marketing to buy more stuff, and that this is how it is. You have to have some kind of job so you can have a paycheck so that you can buy the stuff and you can fit in and be like everybody else. But what I like to imagine is, just as a forest existed before that Walmart was constructed, that in the future perhaps the Walmart will still be there, but it will be designed differently so that it's symbiotic with nature around it. We can do this as humans. We can use our brain power, and we have the technology to design our cultures and our societies so that they live in beautiful symbiosis with nature. both utilizing nature. You know, we already have many technologies that can utilize nature, that can harvest sunlight, that can use local water sources in ways that aren't damaging. You know, it's micro hydro, things like this. Each unit, corporate entity, instead of harvesting water in this voluminous macroscopic way, each entity can harvest water sources and using micro hydro in the immediate vicinity of wherever that structure or entity is. The same goes for family units, and each place needs to be in symbiosis with its immediate environment, both taking resources from the environment but also enhancing the environment around it. You know, the plant life and the animal life. These are just ideas to think about, how we can design society so that it lives in symbiosis with nature. We're not just putting asphalt on top of it and putting these cement and concrete structures on top of it and stringing around our power lines everywhere. That we want to fit in with harmony in the immediate environment of whatever we're constructing, whatever we're designing. So when you're driving around in modern society, don't settle. Don't let it dominate you. Don't say, oh, this is just how it is, and this is how it has to be, and this is the way it will always be. Someone reversing in the middle of the road. Okay, good job. Don't settle. Have another vision. See something else. See that stuff can be completely different. It doesn't have to be the way it is right now forever. See another vision. You know, that it can be completely different. It can be optimized. It can be more ideal. That's our job. That's our job as intelligent creatures. If we have the brain power to do it, we have the technology to do it, we should do it. We have a responsibility not to just ourselves, either as individuals to like get as much material goods as you can and as much, you know, virtual currency as you can, and what then? You know, what about other generations? But we have responsibility as a species too, because we're the only intelligent species that we know of on the earth, and we're the stewards of this earth. We're the stewards of all the other animals. We're the stewards of all the other plant life. And so if we have the ability to use our brains to design optimal systems, then we need to do that. We can't just selfishly, you know, ravage the earth for all the resources we can get. What is the point of that? What is the end result? So you get let's say you get all the money in the world. Let's say you get all the resources in the world. Okay, what then? We need to strive for harmony. Harmony with the other life on this spaceship that we're all contained in. We need to use this spaceship to travel through space. This is our home base from which we're going to venture out from, and we need to make this spaceship livable and sustainable first. And in doing that, it's not just functionally, you know, making sure that it's functioning for the long haul. We can do it in a beautiful way. We can do it in a ideal way that is beautiful. So when you're driving around in modern society, or you're going into these businesses and you're being exposed to billboards and slogans and oppressive corporate marketing about your lifestyle of, this is the way you need to be, this is the way you need to live, this is the stuff you need to have, you're not normal if you don't have this stuff, and you know, people tend to, you know, especially if you're younger and you haven't seen the transition, like I saw in my hometown, just how forests turn to all these friggin' boxes that only exist to like take, you know, items from China and distribute them. I mean, that's serving no function really. It could be doing so much more. Don't just accept that. You know, I think that's hard. I think people have this they can't really put their finger on it, but there's this dissatisfaction, this dysphoria associated with modern society and culture, that it's like, this is the way it is, and it could have been done better, but it's just moving in this random chaotic fashion. And I just have to accept it, and this is just how life is. But my point of this entire video is that's not how it is, and don't let it get you down, and don't accept it. See that it can be completely different. If we start thinking about this, how we're conducting society and how we're imposing our technology on nature, on this spaceship, we can do it with intent, and we can do it consciously, and with a mind for optimization, and with a mind for ideal functioning, with harmony with the immediate environment. It's going to be different for every geographical region, but we have the technology that will enable this harmony, this symbiosis with nature. You know, I'm walking through this Walmart, and I'm imagining trees in the Walmart, in these pools where water's being conducted with these different pools, and it's beautiful with plant life growing everywhere. And let your imagination envision these things. If people start doing this, there's gonna, you know, some people are gonna be really good at this type of stuff, and this is the way we need to be thinking. At this moment, we're seeing the result of the 20th century, where technology accelerated very quickly, and we kind of went with it in unconscious fashion, just like, well, we need to build. You know, we need to accelerate. We need to, you know, and so it kind of did move forward in this chaotic random fashion, like, oh, okay, we have this new development, we can do this, and if we invest here and make capital gains, and we can, this could be represented a huge profit, and we'll just develop this land here and create another strip mall that is doing nothing for the spaceship. It's like, maybe it represented some profit for, you know, a select group of investors, but my point is, that is what promoted this kind of chaotic random development without really thinking about the future, the long-term future. If we keep proceeding in this way, the entire earth is going to be covered with asphalt. You know, huge parking lots that, why do some of these developments, these strip malls, you know, which usually contain a Walmart, why do they need such huge parking lots? When is everyone going to fill up that parking lot? Think about all this space that's taking up. All the problems, the hydrological problems that creates with whenever a huge rainstorm comes, and this water just doesn't, it's on this hard surface, and it just flows into these storm drains. No one was really thinking long term when they developed their stuff. They're just going after a buck. And that's the way the 20th century worked and developed. It was driven by technology, and it wasn't really created with intention for long-term function and sustainability and harmony. You know, people talk about sustainability a lot, and I'm sure some people are sick of that word, but they not really thinking about what that means. It's like, we need to have this spaceship function for longer than the next 50 years or next 100 years. And it's not just about our grandkids and our genetic line. It's about all the animals on the earth that we're the stewards of. We cannot just let all these species be going extinct because our grandkids are going to miss out on it. And because those species help us. We're all in this together, you know. But beyond sustainability, let that word be a glorious word, because it's not just about, you know, having a sustainable, functional loop that where, you know, we're not going to crash and burn. Associate that word with the fact that life can be better. Life can be better. Everything can be more beautiful. Everything can be more comfortable. Everything doesn't have to be hard edge and just this gross, like, look at all these power lines just strung up all over the place. That is so early 1900s. There's better ways to do stuff. All right? And if we're driven just by, like, making money and getting a buck, it develops in this ugly way, this chaotic, random, ugly way. My point is, as an individual, don't let that unconscious kind of acceptance of modern society, this is the way it is, it's just it's so oppressive, and like the inertia of this barreling monstrosity, just the momentum moving forward that you can't stop it. At least in your mind you can. Don't settle for it. When you're walking around, see a different earth, see a different way that it can be. And when you look at your landscape of your city, superimpose in your mind beautiful structures that incorporate nature with them and live in harmony with nature, where we're living in a loop with nature. We haven't imposed all these structures just on top of everything in this ugly fashion, that we're integrated with the environment, that we're taking resources, water and air and electricity from the environment, but we're also putting things back. We're beautifying the environment. We're making it easier for other life forms to do their thing. Try to envision those structures in your mind when you're looking. Try to see the way it can be. And don't settle. Don't let it just dominate you. Don't just accept it and relegate it. This is the way it is now, but it doesn't have to be the way it is in the future, even in the near future. You know, don't just accept it. So that's my message for today. And I'll talk to you soon. All right, bye.